god, I played hockey for the first time yesterday in like 2 years, and I can barely move my legs right now. Oh my god. Okay. Alright, what's going on everybody? It's super awesome to be back right now. I'm really excited to be making another video, and we're talking about these bad boys, disposable cameras. Everybody's using them. They're making a real comeback, so is film as a whole. So let's jump into why you should be using them and some great tips on how to get some great shots. Let's get it. So yes, it is 2020, and believe it or not, but disposable cameras are actually on the rise. They're going up in price and they're going down in quantity. So everyone wants to have them, everyone needs them, everyone likes that nostalgic looking film look, even though half the people that are using them, myself included, never even took pictures with a film camera. I take pictures with a film camera, but I'm talking about like, you know, like younger people, they don't know what film is, they got their iPhones and stuff. I sound really old. I'm 22, I don't know what I'm saying. You wouldn't expect people to be using a disposable camera in this day and age. It's all iPhones and cell phones and DSLRs and stuff, but they are making a comeback, and they are pretty cool. You get a cool look with them. You get different kind of colors with, say, Kodak or Fuji or whichever one you decide to go with, but I think they're pretty cool. They're just little fun little memory snappers that you can bring to parties, that you can bring to events, not be scared about dropping them or paying a high fee to replace them or fix them. They're just really fun and carefree, and you end up making these really cool pictures of memories that seem really much more nostalgic and cooler. So I really think you should get one, but before you do, listen to these 5 tips so you can make some decent pictures rather than a black vista of nothing, or an overexposed shot of someone's face or of your own because you hit the shutter by accident, like I always do. So yeah, just hopefully these help and you get some good pictures. So let's move into it. So if you've used any sort of camera before, you know that there's 3 main things: the ISO, the shutter speed, and the aperture. Or even if you're using your cell phone, it kind of just takes it automatically, but it still uses those things to take a picture. With this camera, there's no control over that. It does have these things, but there's no control. Typically, these cameras, the aperture ranges from f10 to f11, which is pretty small, but big in the size of what's in focus, because you don't want a really shallow depth of field and take a picture of something and everything else is blurry, and there's no autofocus, obviously. So it's a big aperture, so it aims to get everything in focus. The shutter speeds on these cameras, if you do a bit of research, they vary from camera to camera. Like there's the Fuji, Kodak, probably other ones, but those are the main big ones. There's Fuji and Kodak that make different variations of them. But typically f10, f11 aperture, 1/100th or 1/200th of a second shutter speed, so they can capture a decent bit of motion. They're more for just kind of like post photos or quick things. So if you're catching something fast, like someone running or a car or something, it's going to be a bit harder because it's the slow shutter speed, and it's also to account for if you're in daylight, for instance, it don't want to be overexposed. And the ISO can range from, I think, 400 to 800. They're typically a bit higher because your pictures are going to be a bit more grainy. Again, they want to account for that like nighttime variation. They're trying to account for a number of things. Like if you're during the day for a wide aperture, and at night with a low shutter speed, or at night with a higher ISO, they kind of have to account for everything in one camera, so you get different images depending on what time of day you're shooting and what kind of lighting you're shooting in. So, but those are typically the things you get, like the f10, f11, large aperture, 1/100th, 1/200th of a second shutter speed, and typically a higher ISO, I think around, I want to say 800, because the film is pretty grainy. So those are some things to consider when shooting with this camera. And the main takeaway of that point, or those points I just said, is to focus on composition. Even if it's just like your friends you're taking a picture of, or you're at a party or something. I know some people just want to like snap, take a picture, you're done. But if you're intentionally trying to get a good shot, which is tough because like it's a pretty small viewfinder, like I don't know if you can see that, but yeah, it's pretty tiny. You gotta, especially on the Fuji, like you really have to squint and look through. But focus on composition. Like make sure everything looks right and everything's framed up, because the colors, the lighting, whatever, that is out of your control. So that is probably a benefit of this as well too, is that you're just focusing on composition. So another thing to keep in mind. Now, as you may have guessed, these cameras are no master of the low light scenarios, meaning that you take them outside at night or any sort of dimly lit scenarios, it is not going to get anything unless you have the flash on. The flash can be an absolute lifesaver, and I highly recommend you turn it on when you're in any sort of like darker lit situation. I know we're used to taking pictures in darker areas or dimly lit areas with better cameras, and we get the kind of look that we want. We don't typically want to use a flash because that completely changes the look of the image. But if you're actually trying to capture someone or get a picture of someone or something, it's not going to happen. Trust me. I'll throw up a couple of images. I think I took a few when it was a bit darker, and some turned out kind of okay. Like it takes out some of the light if you're closer to outdoors, if you have some sort of light source. But if it's dark or like a completely dark area, then you're kind of SOL. It's not going to happen. So use a flash, but use it with caution, because when you get too close to your subject, whatever it may be, typically it's a person, we'll use a person as an example. If you get too close to them, I probably have an example of this as well, it takes the light coming off the people's faces, whether it be your face or your friends or whatever, and it's too much light for the small sensor in this camera to handle, so that it just takes in the light from your faces. It doesn't have this wild dynamic range that you can use. So your faces are very lit up and well lit. They're not like overexposed, but everything else behind you is dark. So if you're taking pictures of friends or family or something, make sure you take a few feet back. I think they say up to like maybe like 3 to 5 feet. Like give yourself some distance so that you light the scene as well as the people around you, because if you don't, it's just going to be boom, this like really bright person or something, and then very dark background. You might get something, but I highly recommend you use it at night or in darker areas, as it will make a big difference, trust me. Okay, so that was point number 2. Yes, 2. And that was about using your flash at night so you can actually fill the scene to make it look good and actually visible. Now, people don't think about this, and this is the third point that I'm using. I'm gonna kind of use the second one as a bounce pad. The third one is using your flash during the day. No one actually thinks about using their flash during the day because they think, oh, it's well lit, it looks fine, the scene's gonna be perfect, boom, done, snap a shot. Not the way it works. Again, I probably have a picture or two of it. I've made almost all of these mistakes myself. I'll throw it up if I do have one. But it's using your flash during the day, because if, say, your person is standing in the shade, or they're standing in a darker area while their background is very well lit and like very bright, the person in front is going to be very dark, because again, this camera doesn't have a huge dynamic range. It takes from the light. So if it has a huge light source, it's going to keep that well lit, and your subject or whatever you have in this darker area isn't going to be. Turn the flash on, take a good shot, again from a good distance. You want to be right up close again, because that's going to really play with the lighting in the camera. At a good distance, fill your subject with the flash, fill it up, looks good, everything looks even. So don't undermine flash during the day, because it can be, again, a huge lifesaver, because this camera is not like a phone or a DSLR. It definitely needs the help it can get, and you have to offer it to that, because it cannot speak. I'm just kidding. They can just use it anytime to take good pictures. So that's point number 3. Okay, if you haven't really cared or listened to anything up until now, that's fine. Just take away this fourth point, because this is the most quintessential in my opinion, because I've encountered it way too many times. So there will be on many occasions where I put my camera in my hoodie pocket, my pant pockets, my jacket pockets, some sort of pocket, where I inevitably reach into it to go grab the camera to take a picture, and end up taking a picture of the inside of the pocket, because I grabbed the camera by the shutter button, because I'll press it down, because there would be a lot of occasions where, because you have to advance the film first, there's like a roller that you advance and then the film is ready to shoot, and sometimes I advance it, sometimes I don't. Like, typically better not to do it so you don't end up with this scenario, but there's a lot of occasions where I do, because I think, okay, I'll advance it so it's ready to go next time in case I miss something. And then when I do, sometimes I pick it up, boom, shutter gone. Then I have one image out of like 27 or 36 that is gone, which is a pretty significant number considering like you have to pay for film and get these developed and whatnot. So one thing I suggest that you do, if you don't want to not advance the roll, meaning that like you don't want to have your camera ready to go when you see something, I highly suggest you turn, it's very simple fix, just be cautious, like put tape on one side of your camera so that you know which side is the shutter side, whether it's on the, you put the tape on the shutter side or the non-shutter side, so you put it into your pocket or whatever pocket it is the right way. I know it might get jostled around, but at least when you look down or you pick it out or you feel it, it's like, okay, that's the tape side, or you see it, that's the tape side. You won't press the shutter button, or you'll be a lot more cautious of pressing it, and you save yourself a whole bunch of shots, because there have been at least every roll I waste 1 or 2 shots by doing that, or not knowing if I've already rolled the film or not. So 2 things you can do if you're okay with not having a shot ready right away. You can just not advance the film, and then you'll have a clean shot that you can just roll up. But if you do want that kind of availability of like, boom, taking your camera out and ready to shoot, then advance it, but put tape on it, put some sort of marker on it. I suggest tape. You can probably find something else or anything else that suits you. And then at least you know what side is what, and then you're not picking it up by the shutter side and wasting a shot. Okay, we're on our last tip, tip number 5. And tip number 5 is to remember that this is a rangefinder camera. And why is that important, you ask? Well, if you don't want a finger pop up in your image half the time, then that's why it's important. So normal cameras like the camera I'm shooting on right now has a mirror that goes like this, straight down, what you're looking through essentially. You're looking straight down, and it goes down like that, and then out. So that was a really weird way of explaining it. But what you're seeing essentially is what's coming straight out of the camera, boom, done. That's the way it is. With a rangefinder camera, what you're looking through is not exactly what you're seeing. So you're looking through here, but you're getting this. It's not a huge difference. Like for the most part, your image is gonna look relatively the same. Like you're not going to have like you're looking at a window over here and then a person over here and you're getting both. Like it's not like that. It's you're getting virtually the same thing. It's just going to be a little bit off, not noticeable. But what does happen is you don't know where your finger is. Like with a normal camera, if your hand is on the lens, you're going to see it because that's basically like an extension of your eye. It's coming right out. You're seeing whatever is in front of you. Where the rangefinder, what the lens is seeing is not what you're seeing. So if your finger is in front of the lens, you snap a shot, boom, your finger's in it. Imagine being at a really cool party and your friends are laughing and this awesome moment happens and someone falls back and you snap the shot, boom, and you think it's gonna be great, you get it developed and it comes back and there's like this fleshy pink mass half covering your photo, blocking your friend who's thrown his drink in the air. It sucks, it really does. I've had a couple of images ruined by myself. So a solution that I devised for this, it's nothing crazy, it's no MKBHD tech attachment, but it's just elastic bands. It's really simple. You just take a couple of elastic bands, put them to the right of the shutter button of the camera, to the right or the left, right before the opening or the lens where it is. So it gives your finger an indication of where it is in relevance to the lens, so you're not going over that line. You can feel the rubber on it. It's almost having like a little rubber grip. So you feel that line on it, you go, okay, stop, that's where my finger is. I can't go any further because if I do, I'm gonna end up with a finger in my shot. It stops there, you're done, and then you have a clean image hopefully. So that it's not gonna prevent it every time. Sometimes your hand slips, sometimes like you're taking a bunch of shots and you forget, but it helps. It's better than having nothing. And so far it's worked for me. I put it on most of my cameras unless I forget, but for the most part, yeah, that definitely helps and can save you a couple of bucks actually, because it's like it costs money to get them developed obviously, and it can save you a couple of shots because you don't get a whole lot in the roll. So that's another big tip that I can really hope to pass on to you. Well, that is the end of this video. I really hoped it helped. If you don't already have a disposable camera, I highly suggest you get one. It's not only just fun, just snapping pictures of like friends and having this like portable camera with you wherever you go, aside from a cell phone. Yes, I know, these are just cooler. But it really helps improve your photography too, because you have a limited number of shots, you're only working on composition, and you have to really play with your lighting. So while having this cool, fun thing that you can bring everywhere, it also helps you improve the skills that you have for photography right now. So that's another reason I can recommend getting it. But let me know how it is. Let me know how your adventures with disposable cameras and photography goes. If you have any more questions or need any more tips, please let me know down below in the comments. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you have. If you can like the video, that would be awesome as well. And yeah, any other video ideas that you want me to do, I'll be more than happy to try and do them. So that is it. I will see you again soon. Don't know when that is, but I'm trying to pump these out more consistently so we can generate a bigger community here. And yeah, but that's my little spiel on disposable cameras and a couple of tips. So have fun shooting and dispose away. Till next time.